So, with that being said, do you think that where you came from had an influence on what you decided to do as far as what your career is and the type of research that you did?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so I'll say this, right? Even though I mean, I can tell you about myself, maybe offline. You probably wouldn't believe some of the stuff I told you.
Oh,
But despite all that thing, I was an honor student. I was in honor classes and etc. And
yeah,
so I thought, I'm a smart kid because I wasn't really aware of like um how much we didn't have, right? Like when you grow up, it's not like, oh, it's like I know I'm looking around and I know, oh, maybe that's broke and this broke, but I don't know, like I'm in dire poverty. Like you're below the poverty line in this particular city because, just the way it runs and looking at some of the numbers. Um, so when I got to college and looking around, looking at the curriculum, talking to other people, and I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? I remember when I was in grad school, one of my professors was saying, "Oh yeah, so yeah, where's the inflection point? You guys should have took this, learned this in high school." And I'm like, bro, my high school didn't have calculus classes. What are you talking about? And so it was
yeah,
when I when I got to college, I realized, like, man, how does my K-12 education really stack up against the rest of the world? I felt like I was cheated. And I didn't like that feeling at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
And and then it made me feel like, well, all the kids that's there now, that's coming behind me, they're going through the same kind of, through this process. They don't know because once I got into the research, that was one of the reasons why I got into the research, because of just feeling like I didn't have an adequate education and wanting to be a voice for the voiceless in a sense of those students that was also experiencing that. So I got into educational research, but I'm gonna give you the full story because I can be honest with you. You good energy. So I went to Lincoln University and first time in college, real happy, whatever. Got a refund check, was like, oh my God,
rich
blew
now.
the check. Blew the check, like blew it. Went shopping. We went to the Lake of the Ozarks. They have like all these outlets. Went shopping out there. Was broke by Christmas. Okay, by December, and I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? Like, I couldn't even afford to go home for Christmas. I had to call my mom and say, hey, can you buy me a train ticket? And she got me a ticket or whatever. So I was broke, hit rock bottom in my sense. And I'm like, you know what, man, that can't happen again. I can't let that happen again.
Yeah,
So got to school the next school year. Ended up getting a job as a tutor. Um, Ended up getting another job in the human resource office again because I was flat broke. So it's like, man, I got a lot to make up for. And then I heard about this opportunity to become a research assistant with one of my professors who's my mentor, who's like family right now to this day. I lived with her when I was in graduate school in Columbia, Missouri. And it was about doing research, educational research. And so that's kind of how I already had this idea that I wanted to help, that I wanted to do something based on my own experiences. But that's how I really got my foot in the door to actually do the work, was through that research assistant position with her. And I was just like, once I started reading the literature, I'm just like, it kind of pissed me off a little bit because it was like, so y'all know this? So y'all been knew this, right?
yeah,
All the stuff they say. All students from low economic backgrounds, or students from these particular type of communities are more likely to, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you've been doing this for decades, and where are the solutions? Why is that still happening? You haven't done anything. And so that really just kind of made me start doing the work that I felt like could produce solutions. And so yeah, I know I'm about to start ranting. I'm trying not to.
Oh, you're fine. Essentially, I go on rants all the time. So, like, if you want to go on a rant, go ahead
Yeah.
because I feel you. I
Yes.
feel you because I said it when we first started interacting. It was something that I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was a program because I went to S&T, but I dropped out because
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about why. Okay, it's the same reason. So there was actually a program. I got a scholarship now. And the scholarship was a diversity scholarship. I had a couple scholarships, but my main one was a diversity scholarship. And one of the stipulations of getting this scholarship is that you had to go to a 3-week program before school started, where you live on campus and you take classes, and that's what's going to dictate your placement in your classes.
Mm,
Screw the placement test that you took last March. Is going off of this right here.
mm,
And what I will say is that the director of that program was an older man, and he was Black. And his name was Dr. Collier, if I remember correctly. He was our chemistry teacher. He was
mm,
passionate about this, very passionate that we attended this program. And the reason and it was called Hit the Ground Running, felt like hit the wall. But
mm,
the purpose of this program was for them to essentially break us. It was to not break us in a bad way, but to give us that reality check
mm,
before we even got to school in the first place,
mm,
because they knew we were going to hit a wall, and they wanted us to hit that wall before we actually started our classes that were going to affect our GPAs and everything like that.
wow.
So they paired it with like a bunch of like resources. So it's just like, if you already not doing well, because we would get tested weekly. Like if you're not doing well, you have to go to this workshop. You have to go through this program. You got to be in a study group, XYZ. And it just showed us like everything that we thought we were, because
Mhm,
when you come from schools like where we come from, you think you hot shit. I took calculus, but it was only two other people in my high school calculus class. We did not learn calculus. And the reason why we did not learn calculus was because we didn't even have a good algebra base.
mhm.
We didn't even know how to do algebra, but we were in calculus. And those things, if you've never taken calculus, you cannot do calculus without algebra.
Exactly.
So our teacher was just like, okay, I got one student that's going to engineering. I love my teacher. I ain't gonna shade her, but she was just like, I got one of them that's going to engineering and the other two going to nursing school. Y'all never gonna take calculus. And according to your placement test, you got to start over anyway. Cause I did. I had to go all the way back to intermediate algebra when I started college.
Wow.
So she's just like, we'll just play games for the rest of the year. I'll give y'all an A.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And that's the reality of where we come from. You know what I'm saying? And my
Mm,
whole school career, I've been hyped up like I'm the smartest thing walking. And then we hit college, and then we realize, whoa, I don't have
yes.
no study habits. I'm not used to hard work. I don't know half the stuff that these kids know. I'm actually struggling. I don't even think that I'm as smart as I thought I was.
Mhm.
And that's why I stopped going,
Man.
because I wasn't used to asking for help. I didn't know how to ask for help. I felt dumb, and I gave up. And that's what happens.
I hate that so bad. I hate that so bad. That makes me feel away. And it's like, hmm, I don't know if these people because it's like you always have some good teachers and you have some bad teachers and you have people that's just gonna keep it 100 with you all the time. And it's like I don't know if they be boxed in by good intentions. Like I really do have good intentions for you, or if it's if if it's like you walk into the room, you really truly walk into the room and you think because these kids are who they are. Oh, these the kids in the hood, basically, essentially. Where they probably ain't gonna get it anyway. So I'm just gonna dumb it down. I ain't gonna even teach that, or we just gonna let them play on the computer and etc. And it's like it does a disservice though. It does a disservice to the students. It's like, what are you doing? If we're seriously saying, I want to move my community, I want to move my people forward. and I'm in the room, well, especially for me, because most of my teachers were Black, because East St. Louis is predominantly Black. So it's like, if I want to move my people forward seriously, then I'm gonna equip you with the tools that I know you seriously need. I'm not gonna play games with you. And it's so, it's so heartbreaking, because for the majority of it all, especially when you look at the literature, that's exactly what happened though. It's like, I was actually reading the paper the other day, and someone was reporting a conversation that they had. It was a qualitative study, so it was just like words and stuff. And the parent rather, was saying how she had a conversation with the teacher about her child was getting a C in the class. And, the mom had talked to the teacher and et cetera, and that conversation went by. And so then the teacher went up to the child and had a conversation about, yeah, I talked to your parent. And, C's for you, that's really good. I'm like, what? She
What's that
said, what?
mean?
So C's for you is really good. But then, because kids gonna talk. So, but you're telling the other kid, no, you can do better. I know you're better than this, and I expect better from you. But then you're gonna tell this kid, because of their phenotype, right?
Yeah.
C's, that's really good for you. And it's like, come on. It's like, what? Like, I don't get it.
My
I don't.
dad has said this. My dad has said this, and I think he's even said it on the show, which is crazy to me because it makes me think, so it's not just us. This
Mm-mm.
goes back. You know what I'm saying? This goes
Wow.
even back, because he was saying, like, even when they were in school, and my dad went to Beaumont, and he was just like, even when they were in school, there were groups. There were groups. It's just like, y'all will succeed.
Wow.
Y'all will be all right.
Wow.
And then we gonna pray for y'all. And that's and that's what you're saying. Where it's just like, this will work for you. Now you could do better, but
Wow.
this is all right. And that even in my high school experience, I've said this before when I went to Riverview. Hate to say it, but it's true. If you were considered honors, you had a completely different experience than everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
because they separated the different classes, and the freshmen stayed with freshmen and they did what they did, and the sophomores stayed with sophomores, junior seniors stayed with junior seniors. But if you were in honors, okay, now you get to go build in the building. Now you get to, you know what I'm saying, experience the different things. We're going to invest in your classes differently. I remember, I will never forget this. We had our map testing, and for map testing, everybody had to test together.
Mm.
Right. And we were in the class with the quote unquote regular freshmen, and they were reading out loud a book that we read 2 quarters ago at home. And it's just like, what?
That's ridiculous.
Exactly. I'm a freshman sitting here looking at this like, this where y'all at with it?
That's ridiculous. Man, that's crazy. It's so crazy, because it's like, when you really look back, like, I just wonder what happened, what happened to us. Like, I'm just about to talk real to you, because
That's
you
what
know
this is for.
it's like, what happened to us though? Like, when you look at like that Reconstruction era, and a lot of people had, and I'm saying, like, a lot of people came out of slavery. A lot of people already had out of being enslaved, rather, had all these skills, so it was easy to go to work, it was easy to make money, and etc. But they also, a lot of them turned to and was supported in formal education, right? And it was like, you didn't play about it, because it was a lot at the time when they was forming schools in the South and in little churches and everything like that. It was like, education was seen as a form of liberation. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be free, you don't want to be, slave. And today I would just say, some people still a slave, in a
Mentally,
different way. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Mentally enslaved in this matrix. And it's like, education still, and I'm not even necessarily talking about formal, informal, whatever. You
Nope.
can pick a
Yep.
book, you can teach yourself, because a lot of people did back then even. So it's like, to liberate yourself. But something happened. And so during that whole Reconstruction era, even like right up probably until like the early 40s, 50s, like education was seen as something that was so absolutely valuable. And
Mhm.
it's like your teachers didn't play that. Like they did not play with you. And I'm gonna teach you what you need to go out here and succeed. Because if you go out here and you look crazy, we look crazy.
Yep.
But
Yep.
now it's like I'm just trying to get my check, and you know what I mean? It's like what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened?
Yeah.
When did we start like bubble living? Like it's like dang, we got to be in a struggle to unite. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah.
I
It
don't.
it's almost like, when did our values change so
Yes,
drastically?
yes,
You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Because let's be honest, I'm sure you're gonna know what I'm saying, where it's just like where you grow up with other kids and it's just like, oh, you talk white,
yes,
oh, you smart,
yes,
oh, you this, you that, what
yes,
you going home to
yes.
study? Why you so, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like,
Exactly. Exactly.
comes to what? Like,
Exactly.
like what, if there is nothing wrong with wanting to
Exactly.
gain more knowledge in anything. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because
Mhm.
even in life, like I'll be real honest, like you can grow, we're older now. You can look around and see who has the critical thinking skills and who doesn't.
Yes. Yes, for sure, 100%. And I think that's crazy. And that's something people still look at, this whole thought of acting white or whatever. And it's like, it's so crazy to me because it's like there clearly had to be a period of conditioning where, because come on, I'm a psych major, you know, some people call me a conspiracist, whatever. I beg to differ. It had to be some period of conditioning because it just doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, no, especially when you think about like the 50s and all that, like all the black orators that was on TV every day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Speaking the way they speak. Like, look at Malcolm. That's one of my favorite people ever. Just like an amazing orator, right? All these other people. So it's like, how did we go from that and people having debates? I mean, they literally used to play debates like music videos back in the day.
Yeah.
How did we go from that to this? You sound white, so therefore you're not black. How did we internalize, oh, you a nerd, so therefore you're not black? So are you've internalized that to be black means to be intellectually inferior? You internalized that and you wearing it like a badge of honor?
Whoo, whoo, you saying something.
I don't understand it. I
You
don't
see?
understand it. And you know what I look at though? Like for real, because I'm a 90s kid. Ooh, shout out to the 90s kid.
Yeah, okay.
I think about like the shows we used to watch back then. You feel me? Like we used to watch A Different World, one of my favorite shows ever. The Cosby Show, like all these shows where you saw these intelligent black people
Mhm.
and dealing with real issues. Like the A Different World will always forever be just timeless to me. I watched the whole series. I don't watch the first season, but all the other once a year I watch that mug. And it's like, because it's like they talk about real issues in there, and you just see these young black people that are just intelligent. And like that was our TV. That was
Yeah.
their TV. And now I'm looking at the show and I'm like, whoa, the conditioning. I mean,
Oh, it's not the same at all.
it's not the same.
It's
It's
not
not.
the it's not the same at all. And that's the part that's sad. Actually, Thinker versus Speaker is partly a product of me getting tired of but seeing the only representation of black people as reality TV. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You can literally go any day of the week on prime time and find some buffoonery,
Absolutely.
you know? And, and
Absolutely.
and the representation is terrible back
Mm-hmm.
compared to, when we grew up. And it's just like, even if you wanted to see a black comedy, we had like the Parkers, we had,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying, we had things of like substance that still showed us in a
Exactly.
positive light.
Exactly. The
And now
Jeffersons, lucky as hell, rich man, made us built his way up. You feel?
we could go back, and even in the beginning of reality TV, it wasn't us in a negative light.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when you think about, we could talk about Run's House. We could talk about what's that one show, Baldwin Hills, where they were showing
Yes. Yes.
black kids. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like this isn't real,
Mhm.
but we are getting shown this quote unquote mirror that's not a real representation of us or who we are supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And then we not thinking about it, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? It's so many of our peers that emulate this and they think
Yes.
that this is what life should be. And in reality,
Yes.
this is not life. And this isn't even happiness. To be
Exactly.
honest with you, you're chasing an illusion
Exactly.
because you don't want to educate yourself and really think about what it is that's happening.
Exactly. Exactly. And when you got teachers that's in these inner cities, that's in predominantly Black schools, telling kids what to think, and I'm only going to tell you so much, and not really truly telling them, not really truly teaching them rather how to think, how to critically think. I'm just telling you, this Christopher Columbus discovered America. Da, 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 da. But I'm not telling you how to critically think. And so you're just gonna believe whatever I spit out to you. And then
Yeah,
what does that mean when you're watching a depiction of something that's telling you who you are? You just gonna internalize it, like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's me. That is me. I do be doing that. Like, no, no,
yeah,
like I just it's like a whole host of things I feel like that they just throw at the Black community to shift our values, to shift the way that we see ourselves, to shift the way that we treat each other.
mhm,
You know, my mom grew up in Price Point, Mississippi, small little place. But like if you do something outside, and this was kind of like this when I was growing up in the 90s. If you was clowning and the neighbor saw you, oh, you know you getting a whooping because they finna go tell your mom.
mhm,
You know, but now it's like your kid do something, you think you finna go tell their mama, they like, well, don't say nothing to my kid. Well, it ain't your business what my kid doing. It's like what how did we get to this point?
yeah,
How did we get here? I just don't understand it. And it's
yeah,
just like, I don't know. I don't know. I would hate to say that we need to be, because it's like, it's not as if we're in a really collectively, as if we're in a really great space, right? Like
right,
we always talk about the Black and white wealth gap and what that looks like. And I mean, it's freaking terrible, right? I can't think of the numbers off the top of my head, but it's not great. So collectively, we're not where we should be, where we could be if we actually came together, collaborated, and elevated. But that's not what we're doing.
yeah,
Um, it's just, I don't know. I would hate to think that we have to be in some like super stressful, super, you know, struggle situation. Like, oh, I absolutely need to lean on you because XYZ. You know, like how we talk about like back then when it's like we're collectively going through something and we collectively need to pull ourselves out of this. So we gonna build these schools, we gonna teach each other how to read, and et cetera, and et cetera. And it's like, we still need that though. Like, are you?
and I mean, not even to get political with it, which is another thing, right? Because it's just like, if you paying attention politically too, we don't know where that's going. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? It might come to a point where we might actually have to come together
Yeah.
and actually hold ourselves up. We might actually be getting there now, and we need to like actually start
Exactly.
considering some of these things. Because if we don't start paying attention to these things, if we don't start taking that accountability, you know what I'm saying? All of these rights and things that we take for granted
Exactly.
could be taken away from us, all
Exactly.
because we are so busy again chasing illusions and not really trying to critically think. It's almost like we're avoidant of the issues
Mm-hmm.
instead of, you know what I'm saying, actually just doing something about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to just look, if that's what you
Yeah.
say, cool.
Yeah.
If that's what life's supposed to, all right, cool. I'll just do that.
Exactly.
Because it's easier than taking the time to actually try to figure out what's going to work for me and my life and my longevity and my
Mm-hmm.
family, et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. Because I've
Absolutely.
gotten away with not having to do this for so long. Why would I change today?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.